Good morning, Dragon Squad, and welcome to the pre-show. The pre-show that hopefully is going to go a little bit smoother than the ones that have happened earlier this week. Thank you for joining us. Got a bunch that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, and obviously the show is going to be coming up in less than 45 minutes, where I'm going to be joined, as I always am, on the Big News Wednesdays by J.R. Jackson. And it's going to be a special Big News Wednesday because it is the holiday season. We're not going to have new shows tomorrow or on Friday, which means that if we're going to take out the trash, it has to be today. And so you can expect the garbage people are going to be coming up on today's program. Now, hopefully this is going to go smooth. Some of you are already here. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Yesterday, wasn't able to do the pre-show because we had last-minute rejiggering of the show that left me ending up going into Studio B. On Monday, I made the ill-fated decision to broadcast on my iPad. That was not a good call. The chat didn't show up, but the chat is showing up now. So hello to everybody, including Bailey Culfer. How's it going? So look, we're going to launch into, on the show, some of the stuff that Donald Trump is trying to push through in the last weeks of his presidency. Some of it is just sort of annoying, offensive, but some of it is extremely damaging in areas like labor rights, the environment, and things like that. So we're going to turn to that as soon as we go to our actual show. Before we get to that, though, how would you like a little bit of Schadenfreude? How would you like a little bit of a look into Donald Trump's mind and the environment of the White House in these last couple of months? Because Donald Trump is running out of not actual options to remain president. Those have been gone. But he's running out of even the sort of facade that he and his protectors have thrown up at the last minute, so that he can sort of remain in the eyes of his biggest fans to still be the strong guy that's going to continue. They don't want their actual world to come crumbling down around them, but it is starting to, and it's happening around Donald Trump. There was a quote that I want to read for you that is incredibly sad. This is reported by Politico, and it is about him talking with his advisors about the election results. And he is like desperately asking them, like, isn't there something we can do, a pathway to victory and all of that? And they're saying that there isn't. And then he says this, and it's really sad, because he's talking about how, the election overall went pretty well for Republicans, thanks in large part to voter suppression and gerrymandering, all of that. But many Republicans actually won. So he says this, I don't get it. All these other Republicans all over the country, they all win their races, and I'm the only guy that loses. I'm the only guy that loses. So that is a moment right there. That is a moment where you could try to learn something. Like, that's obviously an oversimplification, obviously. Plenty of Republicans lost, and all of that. But let's say that you believe that that was true. This is an opportunity for you to ask why? And I'm the only guy that loses? Why would you be the only guy that loses? What has been going on during your first term, or even if just that's too much to analyze, just 2020? What did you do potentially that would have singled you out in particular for the voters to not be big fans of? That in theory, they might still like some Republicans, but wouldn't necessarily like you. And look, there's a lot of good answers to that question. I would argue we've been covering those potential answers all year, but Donald Trump isn't actually asking what could be the most important question he could have ever asked himself through the course of his life. Why is he the loser when everyone else is winning? Because after all, remember, weren't we supposed to get sick of winning? It wasn't just supposed to be that all of a sudden it ended, and yet it is. And so he is having to wonder, why is it that I lost when everyone else is winning? Except he's not going to actually answer the question. It's too late anyway. He's not going to change. He's not going to learn. In theory, like let's say that I didn't despise Donald Trump. Let's say that I wasn't, the essence of the exact opposite of him politically. He is saying now that he's going to run for president again. Not publicly, he's not saying that yet, although supposedly that will come even before inauguration, or maybe he'll announce it on inauguration, I don't know. But he's saying that he's going to run again. Okay, so let's say pragmatically, from his point of view, he wants to run again, and he wants to get a second term, albeit with a 4-year gap in the middle. Wouldn't answering this question be an important thing to do? Especially if you're going to be running against the same guy. Like, if you're going to be running against the guy, Joe Biden, that beat you this time, wouldn't you want to know why you lost, why you're the only guy that loses? Maybe it has something to do with the pandemic. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you've entirely checked out from being the actual president. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that you had no agenda whatsoever for your second term. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you have doubled and tripled and quadrupled and quintupled down on your base, but done literally nothing to expand it for 4 years. It could be something in one of those or all of those. All of these are areas where a critically thinking human being, even a selfish, purely self-based, pragmatic human being, could learn something, but he is not going to do that. But the thing is, while he is being petulant, and one great example of that is that the transition is on, and Joe Biden says that the White House is fully cooperating with his team as they go about the transition. I'm actually shocked to hear that. I really am. But he still hasn't talked to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has not actually contacted Joe Biden. And you can sort of understand why. It would be difficult to maintain the pretense, even the ridiculous judicial Rudy Giuliani pretense, that this thing is still an open question about who's going to be president if you're talking to Joe Biden and telling him what he needs to do to be president and like how he's going to succeed and all that. That clearly doesn't work. But it is childish. So the thing is, that's two pieces of evidence that he's not going to learn. Apparently, other people are around him, though, and I thought this was pretty interesting. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. They say, in a West Wing, where advisors have often loitered near the Oval Office in the hopes of being asked inside, there has been noticeably less angling among aides to get an audience with the president in recent weeks. Aides have said privately they are concerned that the president might ask them for something that would draw them into the legal battle. I think that there's two potential ways to interpret that. One is probably more fair and more obvious, and then there's a secondary one as well. Is Randy Quaid doing something right now? I'm seeing a lot of tweets about Randy Quaid. Anyway, look, the more obvious explanation for that is not that they would be opening themselves up to legal jeopardy for themselves, these aides, but just that he would want these aides to stand in the background of a Rudy Giuliani press conference, help to organize one of these things, serve as a surrogate to go on to Fox News or Fox Business or something like that. So not necessarily to expose themselves to personal legal jeopardy, but to expose them to the nation's eyes in regards to his legal battles, which could be, can you turn up the volume? My volume should be the exact same as always. I don't think I have any control over the mic. I apologize. But just that, especially if you believe that this legal thing is, 1 to 3 weeks before it's done, why would you want to appear at the last moment? Why would you want that? That, I think, is the most obvious explanation for what apparently is being witnessed in the White House right now. Now, there is a secondary explanation, which is Donald Trump is going to be, especially as gets that this is over, slowly sinking in over time, that he's going to be asking them to do insane things. And on the show, in like a half an hour, we're going to be talking about some of the big regulation changes and things like that we're going to be doing. Hold on one sec. Let me take care of a little bit of administrative stuff that I have to do occasionally. Doesn't seem like that's going to work. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, all of that is, like, I have an issue with many of these things we're going to discuss. These proposed rules changes, whether they have to do with, like, food processing plants, the environment, all sorts of things like that. But there are other things that are not going to be quite so official. I mean, what I'm hoping is that in the same way that we have these eyes via some of the aides, and certainly one of the things working in our favor, by the way, is that a lot of these aides desperately want to still have access and power and influence and all of that once Trump is gone. One of the ways that I believe they can probably think that they can maintain that is to provide eyes to journalists in these last weeks about what's going on, to sort of show to these journalists, no, I'm serious, I'm one of the good ones, okay, put in a good word for me, consider me a serious person, I'm not just a Trump flunky. But one can only imagine what behind the scenes Trump, not so much Trump, but the entire Trump squad is going to be trying to get done in these last few weeks. And so it's possible some of the aides are worried about being pulled more fully into that. So that's less about just damaging their public image and more about potentially opening them up to some sort of investigation. Although I'm going to be completely honest with you. And by the way, how many weeks have I been saying, I don't want to be the party pooper, I don't want to be all of that, but I don't think there's going to be any big investigations into Trump and his team. Like everything that Joe Biden has been saying over the last 2 weeks, I think has been confirming that that's almost certainly going to be the case. So if I was one of these Trump staffers, I don't really think I'd be all that worried. Like, I don't think they're really going to be looking at Donald Trump. And if they don't do that, are they really going to dig deep into what, like, the upper level management of the White House and all these departments are doing the last few days? It would be great, I think. I would love to do a little bit of damage to the precedent that you could just break the law however much you want, and as long as you make it to the end of your term, it's all good because we're looking forward, not looking back. I would love to damage that. But Joe Biden is not going to be that person. Honestly, I don't know who would be the president that would fundamentally change that, but I don't think that it's going to be Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, she said that she would prosecute the case against the president as a candidate if she was the nominee, which would sort of imply that she's willing to really focus on him. But I don't even think she was saying that if she were to be elected, she would really do much investigating after the fact. And so, with Joe Biden as the leader, I'm not really expecting that that's likely to happen. Okay, so that's just a little bit of Trump psychology. We don't want to go too deep into it because then it can start to infect our own brains. I can see some people referencing in the chat, release the Kraken. Don't worry, we're not going to devote a lot of time to Sidney Powell on the show today, but we do have one little bit of Sidney Powell that says less about her and more about the grifters in the media. But speaking of which, speaking about the grifters, I do want to just have a little bit of fun. So I saw a tweet from Jenna Ellis. And can we stop for 1 second to just point out the fact that up until recently, let me ask you a question. Before 2 weeks ago, did you know who Jenna Ellis was? Yes or no? So let's say before the election, did you know who Jenna Ellis was? So reply in the chat, yes or no. And let's see largely what people's exposure to Jenna Ellis was before this most recent stuff that's been going on in the wake of the election. I saw a yes. I saw a lot of no's, a few guesses about who it was. So far, it's looking like I only saw one yes. Okay, so I had to know who she was. I mean, I didn't have a very good idea. Like, don't get me wrong. But I did know that she was one of those people on Twitter that just all she did was tweet positive stuff about Donald Trump. Now, I couldn't have necessarily told you much about who she was, what she does, or anything like that. Hold on, Marty Hunt says, tweeted transition, we voted for you, we can vote out. Thank you, Marty Hunt, I appreciate the super chat. I assume that she was just another one of those, like, there's a have you gone into the replies of a Donald Trump tweet of the last few years? There are a million 30 to 50-year-old blonde white women who just tweet, "You're the best president ever," and have 500,000 subscribers. It's the most amazing thing on Twitter. I assume that she was just one of those for a long time, and I probably have seen her tweets for something like 2 years or something like that. But now all of a sudden, she is one of the most high-profile people in the right. And all it took, by the way, was for her to be chosen by Donald Trump as a person that is very loyal towards him. That's it. There's nothing else. Like, theoretically, she's a lawyer, right? Is she all of a sudden popular because, oh man, she won this major case for Trump, or she's really breaking things down legally in her media appearances, and it's really flipping the script, really changing the game? No, nothing like that is happening. He just put her on TV because she really likes him. And now she's huge, just massive on the right. And that is basically how it works. And this is how it works. So on Twitter, she tweeted this. And as of when I printed it out, it had over 10,000 retweets and 37,000 likes. So just for perspective, I have, I think, like 250,000 Twitter followers or something like that. I have had a handful of tweets, maybe, that have done better than that. But now, because she is a loyal blonde Trump supporter, any random thing she says, no matter how bullshit it is going to do at least this well. So she tweeted this. It's a photo of Teddy, and it says, "To anger a conservative, lie to him. To anger a liberal, tell him the truth." And people, "This is the best ever. Oh my God, Jenna Ellis nails it." That's so true. That's so true. Liberals can't handle the truth, and conservatives only want the truth. They don't want to be lied to. They don't like propaganda. They don't want to be manipulated. They don't want to be told what's comfortable. They don't want to be rhetorically patted on the head and told that they're the cutest, smartest boy in the room. Except that Teddy Roosevelt didn't say that. There's no evidence that he said that. And why would there be? It's the most banal, boring, pointless, biased quote ever. So that was pointed out many times in the replies to her tweet. And she later responded, "For people asking, this quotation has been attributed to Roosevelt, but there isn't a specific record of him saying this in a speech. I posted it because the idea, I think she means idea, the idea itself is true, whether or not he said it." Happy face. Okay. So the quotation has been attributed to Roosevelt, but there isn't a specific record of him saying this in a speech. So what does that mean? Because it's a lot of words, but it's really not that complex. What does it mean? People say he said it, but there's no evidence he said it. So what is it? Okay, it's been attributed to him. What does that mean? That fucking tweet is attributing it to him. It's some jackass who thinks it proves a point that if you just put his... It's the most basic manipulation, the most basic... Like... If you just wrote, "To anger a conservative, lie to him, to anger a liberal, tell him the truth, dash Jenna Ellis," it would have still gotten a lot of likes. But no, pretending that someone historical said it makes it more significant, even though there's no evidence of that. But then she goes on to say, "I posted it because the idea itself is true, whether or not he said it." So she's admitting it. I don't care if it's true or not. I like it. Now, that by itself... that's not amazing. It's not a brain burner. No one's brain is exploding off of that. But like, do you get what this whole thing is? Conservatives only want the truth. You libs just like convenient lies. Oh, I mean, I know he probably didn't say it, but I just, I like it, whether he said it or not. But you're just saying conservatives only want the truth and libs like convenient lies. Well, but like, it's convenient. I like it. Wouldn't it be nice if Teddy Roosevelt said it? Like, you just proved the opposite of your point in one tweet and one reply. It's quite efficient. I will give you credit for efficiency. You lose all that credit, though, for an inability to learn from your mistakes. Why don't I just tweet the opposite? Okay, I apologize. I'm just gonna get a photo of Teddy Roosevelt, like on a horse or eating stew or something, and I'm just gonna put, "To anger a liberal, lie to him. To anger a conservative, tell him the truth." For people asking, like, I know that there's no evidence that he said that, but I like it. And she's massive. She's gonna get a book deal worth $250,000 at least. She's going to be in media for the next year. Like, what is the point of all this? The way that we choose who is worthy of our time and attention, who is worthy of receiving our money and our opportunities, it is all bullshit. It's not all the same kind of bullshit. There are different kinds of bullshit. This is a particular type of bullshit. The bullshit I was reading earlier today about Jake Paul and COVID and all of that, like, but it's all bullshit. Elon Musk, Tesla's worth $500 billion. What does that mean? It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean literally anything. It's all bullshit. Just be an aggressive, stupid asshole, and you'll make unlimited money, and you'll have unlimited opportunities. Which is why I think people freak out so much when, like, a seemingly good person makes it. It's because it is so unique. Like, the fact that Tom Hanks has done so well, it's like, wait, but Tom Hanks is like a nice guy. It's so unique that people recoil from it. QAnon, it's not by like some random chance that the QAnon people are saying that he rapes children. It's because they can't believe that someone could be that good and be famous, be known for it. We know there's tons of really good people that nobody knows. You know, there's lots of good people making a minimum wage. But good people that are rich, oh man, that you see on TV, they're so rare. And so like when like a Greta gets lifted up or like AOC won her election, that's not how that's supposed to work. They're supposed to try and then they're supposed to be rejected. AOC should have lost to some jackass Republican who was on like season 17 of Real World Road Rules Challenge. That's the way that it's supposed to work. But thankfully, occasionally it doesn't. And by the way, I mean, Jen Ellis, she's going to make more money off of this grift than I've made in my entire life, but it will eventually pass. Because loyalty to Trump is only as valuable as the attention that Trump commands at any given moment. And I do think we're on the precipice of that going down. It's not going to go down immediately or totally anytime soon, but I do think that we're moving in that direction. But, you know, loyalty to whoever takes his place, whether it's Ted Cruz or Tom Cotton or Tucker Carlson or whatever jackass they get to replace him. Put myself in a bad mood. Anyway, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to be in a good mood in a little bit. You know why? Because I'm going to be doing the damage report with J.R. Jackson, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Not only am I going to be doing the damage report with J.R. Jackson, but because this is the last show of the week, we're going to be doing garbage people. And I have my garbage person. You can't see it. I'm not going to let you see who the face is. But it's coming. It's coming. And I don't know who JR's is. I think he's only ever done like one before. But we're going to see. We're going to see. Anyway, Dreaded Dragon is coming. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching this. Those of you who liked it, sent in super chats, commented along, love you. Go get yourself a little drink, get yourself caffeinated, go get yourself situated, hold on to your butts, all that, and we'll see you in just a little.